At least now, there is more recognition of mental health struggles and conditions that affect learning and behaviour like ADHD, attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and Asperger's than there was when I was at school. But kids can still be put in the naughty or good box, or the clever or stupid box. That affects not only how they are treated by teachers, but what they come to expect for themselves. The naughty kid. My childhood and teenage years were a bit of a roller coaster. To be fair to my parents, I was hard work and could be very difficult to deal with. And to be fair to me, they did an absolute terrible job of it at times. It probably didn't help that my sister, Danielle, who is just 18 months older than me, was a studious, academic, obedient child who always did everything that was expected of her. And then they had me, who definitely didn't. They couldn't understand that we were different. They must have thought if one kid could knuckle down, work hard and do as she was told, then why couldn't the other? It's so easy to forget what it's like to be a kid. I really think that it's an important feeling to hold on to, even though a lot of us would probably prefer to forget most of it. But it's the best way to connect with and understand what the young people in your life are going through. Adults can look at a kid who gets into fights and doesn't do what they are told and decide they're just a naughty kid, but they are often the most sensitive and they act out because they don't know how to deal with how they are feeling. And then this affects what kind of adult they become. I bottled everything up and it made me into an even bigger mess. I can see now that I was trying to put that wall up so things wouldn't hurt me so much. Shout at me, I don't care. And then you take that into your adult life because you've learned all the wrong ways to deal with how you're feeling. I was really stubborn too, and I didn't like authority, which was just one more reason why I clashed with my dad, who was a strict disciplinarian. It was still the era when a lot of people thought it was fine to smack kids, so if I did something wrong, I'd be sent to my room with a slap. I was always on report at school, and I panicked when I got home to my parents to tell them I was in trouble again. I knew that I was going to be shouted at. I couldn't tell them about what was going on in my head, and because I was often in trouble, they always assumed that everything that happened was totally my fault. But that's not how it works with kids, is it? When they get into fights with other children, for example, it's often more complicated than that. I was always the loud kid who got into trouble. I think the issue started when I was in year 3. The earliest time I can remember was when our teacher was off and we had a supply teacher instead. He was lovely, but for some reason I didn't like him. We were supposed to be writing things down, but at the end of the hour he saw my page was blank. He asked me why and I didn't say anything. "I'm speaking to you," he said. But I wouldn't reply, so he went into the next room to get another teacher. When I still wouldn't reply, she said, "Get up." I didn't, so she picked me up and took me to the cloakroom and threw me. Literally, threw me. I hit my head on a peg. She shut the cloakroom door and went to get the head teacher. By the time the head teacher had come, I had lost my shit and was punching the walls. The head teacher calmed me down, contacted my parents and said, "There's been an incident." I don't know if they thought I had probably deserved it, but from their reaction I got that they thought it was okay that the teacher had picked me up and thrown me. In fact, my parents were so angry with me that when I went back into school the next day, I wrote the teacher a letter saying, "I'm really sorry." When I look back now, I'm fuming that I went back to an adult who dealt with the situation wrong and I apologised. I was diagnosed with ADHD when I was in year 8. My mum and dad took me to this place where they assess kids with behaviour problems. They didn't explain to me what was happening or why I was there. I remember sitting there thinking, what the fuck's going on? I had to do all these different tests, like an X came on the screen and I had to press a button. I didn't get what the doctor was saying to me. For a start, he had a strong accent that as a child I couldn't understand and I was too scared to say. The problem was that I had so many walls up by then that I couldn't tell anyone how I felt or that I didn't understand. I didn't say a thing in any of the sessions I had with this doctor. After a certain number of times going there, I was told that I had to take these tablets, which were Ritalin. This was a classic prescription for ADHD, but I wouldn't. It was never explained to me what was happening and how these tablets might help me. It was just like everyone wanted me to take them to make their lives easier because I was such a nightmare. It wasn't ever presented to me in a positive light, like it was okay and the tablets were potentially a good thing for me, which I now think they might well have been. I refused to accept there was something wrong with me, even if everyone else seemed to think there was, though I do think I knew deep down that I wasn't like all my friends and my sister. The Ritalin just became one more thing in the constant battle with my parents. I wouldn't accept anything they said could be right, and they wouldn't listen or try to understand anything I said either. Getting kicked out. My Catholic secondary school, which was the sort of place where they wanted you to always have your tie on straight, couldn't deal with me, and for some reason they thought it would be a good idea to send me 2 days a week to this naughty school for the kids who'd cause trouble. But this place was insane. You could literally do anything and they just let you get on with it. My memory of it is that if a fight got too bad, they'd call the police, but that was about it. So predictably, that made me worse.